how to reprogram the subconscious mind. This is an important subject, and I've covered how to reprogram the subconscious mind before in the past, many times, but never just one talk specifically on how to do that. The reason I've covered it so many times is because it's an essential part of healing from trauma. So if you want to heal the inner critic, then you need to reprogram the subconscious mind. If you want to heal from negative thinking, then you need to reprogram the subconscious mind. Lessening the anxiety, lessening the depression is all reprogramming the subconscious mind. In fact, the root of our trauma often comes from the emotional abuse or the scars of the psychological and physical abuse and the mental abuse and the verbal abuse. It was all how it impacted the subconscious mind. In fact, virtually all trauma that's non-physical is in the subconscious mind. When we say that we are traumatized, we're talking about subconsciously something in our brain has changed. So first of all, when I refer to the subconscious mind, I'm referring to the brain. I'm referring to the computer, the supercomputer that is running the systems in your body. And I'm calling it subconscious because most of the systems that are running, you're not conscious of. You're not even aware how the brain is doing it and what's actually happening. But we have some access, we have limited access to subconscious mind functions. So some of the things that our subconscious mind runs, such as our heartbeat, we can't directly change our heartbeat, but we can calmly meditate, manage our breathing, and slow our heart rate, can't we? Whereas the lungs, the subconscious mind runs our lungs, but we can actually jump in anytime and take our lungs over, can't we? You can start slowing your breathing, speeding your breathing up. But when you stop thinking about your breathing, you don't stop breathing. The subconscious mind takes over. So it works in tandem with you being what I refer to as the conscious being, the conscious self, or the conscious mind. That is you. So you as the conscious person have the miraculous ability to actually influence your subconscious mind and even train your subconscious mind. Yes, you can train your brain. 96% of your life, scientists estimate, is ruled by the subconscious mind. So it's running all of those systems, but it's also running programs that you've taught it over time, or that your parents taught your subconscious mind, such as how to walk, how to talk. When you're not consciously trying to think about something, your subconscious mind may have already been trained how to do that. Most athletes can subconsciously play their sport because they've already trained the brain to know how to do the task at hand. You may be able to subconsciously wash dishes at this point, subconsciously sweep floors. Whatever you do for work, if you're working in construction, you may be able to subconsciously work while you're actually daydreaming about something else or entertaining your conscious mind with something you're listening to on the radio or with a podcast. Many of us are able to subconsciously drive, although I would advise being careful. The subconscious mind is that efficient. It's able to take over functions and tasks that we have taught it to do, even things that it was difficult for us to learn to be able to do. The subconscious mind is a gift. It is a supercomputer. The subconscious mind is a gift for you to make living your life easier. So we need to know how to control or at least program this subconscious mind. Because it's a computer, it operates a lot like your device, maybe your phone, your tablet. Those devices have all types of programs running that you don't necessarily know how those programs run, right? And it's got all types of functions happening behind the scenes that are making your interaction with it seamless. It's the same way our subconscious mind works, like a computer behind the scenes, taking care of all the necessary details so that we can focus ourselves, the conscious existence, on what's happening around us, on what's truly important to us, like watching cat videos on YouTube, or interacting with a loved one, or having a stimulating conversation, or our favorite television show. Our subconscious mind is a wonderful gift. But would you like to know how to reprogram it? Especially if you are a survivor of trauma, knowing how to reprogram the subconscious mind is essential for you to be able to get the most out of life. Our subconscious mind was programmed between the ages of 0 to about 7 years old initially by our parents. As you were becoming a more conscious being, your subconscious mind was growing and learning information at a very rapid rate in your childhood. So your parents were teaching you how to talk, teaching you how to think, teaching you how to walk, and all types of other small things like how to interact with people, how to socialize, or how to view yourself. And so if you had traumatizing parents, you may have learned to view yourself in a way that is maladaptive or not helpful outside of the household with your abusive parents or your negative parents or your criticizing, judgmental parents. But we notice those subconscious programs of I'm worthless, or nobody can truly love me, or I won't get my needs met. Those can follow us for the rest of our lives. Many of us, even though we can recognize that our mother is abusive or our father is abusive, still try to get love from our mother and our father because we're still running on old subconscious programs that are telling us we need love from our parents, we need love from our parents, we need love from our parents. But the fact of the matter is, when a person moves out of the house and is an adult and is self-sustaining, they no longer need their parents. They no longer need love from the parents. After you become an adult, having a relationship with your parents becomes a luxury. Having love and approval from them becomes a luxury. It's certainly a want. It's certainly a desire, but it is a luxury. It is not a need. So we have to be able to know in our adulthood how to reprogram our own subconscious mind. Now you might say this is difficult since my parents were the ones who programmed my mind the first time, and it's all messed up. I've got all these programs that are running so terribly. You may have been abused. You may have been neglected. You may have been abandoned. And yes, that's going to have affected you negatively. But just like if someone throws trash on your front lawn, it's not your fault that someone trashed your yard, but it is your responsibility to clean it up. You can't simply leave the trash on the front yard and say 2 weeks later, hey, I didn't put that trash there, because your neighbors will become annoyed with you. And they will say, yeah, but pick it up. It's your yard. It is your responsibility to reprogram your subconscious mind, to get your subconscious mind working in a way that is optimal for you. That's your job. That's your responsibility. It is not the responsibility of your parents. Stop going back to them, hoping that one day they're going to love you and that's going to make everything better. It won't. It won't change anything, because what you were missing, what you were lacking was in childhood. When you needed it, you don't need it anymore. So you could go back to your mother and she could be like, you know what? I am a changed individual. You are not a worthless child. I am now going to treat you like you're worthy, and it will not heal your childhood wounds. I'm sorry. Your mother cannot heal you. Your father cannot heal you. The wounds that are there, you have to do the work to reprogram the subconscious mind. The good news about this is it's actually pretty easy. Now, people get annoyed when I tell them that it's easy to reprogram the subconscious mind because it's not widely known knowledge. After all, you go to school for what, like 12 years, and none of the classes are on how to reprogram the subconscious mind. And then you go to college for what, like 4 years, and none of the classes usually are on how to reprogram the subconscious mind. It is not well known, it is not well established, yet every single human needs this knowledge. There are no humans on earth that don't need to know how to program their own minds. Yet this knowledge is not readily available. Why is that? Well, perhaps, and I don't know, but perhaps it's because whomever's in authority doesn't want you to be in your power. Because if you recognize that you have the power to program yourself, then they cannot program you. Often that's why many people today have victim mentality, or what's better termed as learned helplessness, because in their childhood, their leaders, their parents, use their authority to teach the child that they could do nothing without the parents. And this was a power grab from the parents to make sure that they could control the child instead of looking to empower the child. And if you were a child that was raised in a home with parents that didn't empower you, I'm deeply sorry to know that, because that's very debilitating. But now you can learn today in this conversation how to reprogram your subconscious mind, how to take control, regardless of what program you originally received. Now we can learn what we need to do. If you were to type it into the internet, gratefully, we live in a time where knowledge is abundant and anyone can get access to information just by going to Google or YouTube or your favorite social media platform. The problem there is we can't verify which of the knowledge is really good and which is really going to help us. And so you'll find a lot of different information on how to reprogram the subconscious mind online. Many people say, well, you have to have affirmations. And an affirmation is like a phrase or a mantra or something that you say to yourself. You just got to say that thing over and over again, over and over again. So if you want to program your subconscious mind to be rich, you just got to be like, I am rich, or I will be rich, or I am abundant, and all these riches are flowing toward me. There's riches flowing toward me all the time. Some people say you have to go and visit a hypnotist, and a professional licensed hypnotherapist will be able to go into your subconscious mind, and they will be able to tell you, you do not want to smoke anymore, and be able to get down to the issues, and they'll be able to help reprogram you to unlearn the bad habits and learn the new habits. Some people say, well, you need to learn how to hypnotize yourself. So then they start teaching you about the brainwave states, and they're like, look, this is the alpha brainwave, and you got to get into the theta brainwave state. And when you're in the theta brainwave state, then you can reprogram your subconscious mind. And then they say, well, you gotta, when you go to bed at nighttime, then you need to get a tape, and you can buy my tapes over here for $9.99, and then you get my tapes, or you go on YouTube and you get some tapes, and then you play the tapes. And then when the tapes are playing while you're sleeping, you'll be in theta, and then your subconscious mind will get reprogrammed. Have you heard some of those things? Does some of that stuff come up in your research? Is any of it true? Well, any of that stuff can work. All of those things can work to reprogram your subconscious mind. They're all a little more complicated than it has to be, but any of those things can work. I'm going to teach you how to reprogram your mind today in a way that's a lot more simple. But please understand, these things have had results for people. As far as affirmations, you can use affirmations. The problem is your subconscious mind is a really efficient computer. So if it detects that you're lying to yourself, it just learns to not trust you. So your brain becomes adverse to the affirmation. So you got to make sure if you are using an affirmation, you're using something that is a confirmation of something that you truly do believe. So you're not just saying, I will be rich, but you're seeing actual evidence in your life of riches flowing towards you, and then you say, see, this is evidence of a belief that I've adopted that I will be rich. You can use the affirmations, but it has to be a part of a system that involves confirmations as well in order for it to work properly. Just simply saying a phrase over and over again may not always be the most effective way. However, repetition is possible, or is helpful. As far as seeing a hypnotist, the results speak for themselves. Many people have had positive results in being able, especially with quitting smoking. That's been something that many hypnotists have been very successful with. The problem is that you're having to surrender your subconscious mind to another individual, which is no different than what you did as a child. And it didn't turn out so well for you as a child. Now, hopefully the hypnotist is going to be someone who's trustworthy, but what I'm going to teach you today is how to be in the position of control and to be able to program the subconscious mind. It's not necessary for you to go and surrender your subconscious mind to someone else. The downfall being that, okay, if you want to learn a new habit or skill, you have to go back to the hypnotist, and invariably you always have to pay them to do something to you that I'm just going to teach you how to do it to yourself today for free. Right? Learn the skill. You're responsible for reprogramming your subconscious mind. Don't just always go and think you got to just hire it out. It's your job, and it's a life skill. And when you learn it, you can't unlearn it, and you'll find it very useful in your life. So how do we reprogram the subconscious mind? Well, it doesn't have to take as long as you may think, because some people have said, well, it takes 21 days or something like that to learn a new habit. But it doesn't take long to reprogram the subconscious mind. Sometimes you can have as little as one conversation with yourself, and you can penetrate the subconscious mind with that one conversation. That sounds a little bit crazy, but when you think about it, it only takes one trauma to cause PTSD. So your subconscious mind can be changed in one trauma, and one trauma can last just 3 minutes. Just something instantaneously can traumatize you and change your subconscious mind. So why can't it work that way in reverse? The answer is it can. It doesn't always go that smoothly, but with learning how to access your subconscious mind through simple meditation and to speak to yourself, you can train your subconscious mind to do anything, to be anyone that you want it to be. I want to give you a great example. This is the example of the backwards brain bike. So this person, I believe he was an engineer. He just by accident created this backwards brain bike, or it was his colleague who created it. And he got on the bike and he's like, I can't ride the bike because they reversed the steering. So I'm actually going to show you the video of it so you can see this for yourself. And you can see how difficult he believes it is to retrain the brain to learn a new skill. I'm going to pull that up and I'm going to show that to you guys right now.
I can't ride a bike like you can anymore. Before I show you the video of what happened, I need to tell you the backstory. Like many 6-year-olds with a MacGyver mullet, I learned how to ride a bike when I was really young. I had learned a life skill and I was really proud of it. Everything changed though when my friend Barney called me 25 years later. Where I work, the welders are geniuses and they like to play jokes on the engineers. He had a challenge for me. He had built a special bicycle and he wanted me to try to ride it. He had only changed one thing. When you turn the handlebar to the left, the wheel goes to the right. When you turn it to the right, the wheel goes to the left. I thought this would be easy, so I hopped on the bike ready to demonstrate how quickly I could conquer this. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Destin Sam. First attempt riding the bicycle. Yeah, I couldn't do it. You can see that I'm laughing, but I'm actually really frustrated. In this moment, I had a really deep revelation. My thinking was in a rut. This bike revealed a very deep truth to me. I had the knowledge of how to operate the bike, but I did not have the understanding. Therefore, knowledge is not understanding. Look, I know what you're probably thinking. Destin's probably just an uncoordinated engineer and can't do it. But that's not the case at all. The algorithm that's associated with riding a bike in your brain is just that complicated. Think about it. Downwards force on the pedals, leaning your whole body, pulling and pushing the handlebars, gyroscopic precession in the wheels. Every single force is part of this algorithm. And if you change any one part, it affects the entire control system. I do not make definitive statements that often, but I'm telling you right now, you cannot ride this bicycle. You might think you can, but you can't. I know this because I'm often asked to speak at universities and conferences, and I take the bike with me. It's always the same. People think they're going to try some trick or they're just going to power through it. It doesn't work. Your brain cannot handle this. For instance, this guy, I offered him $200 just to ride this bike 10 feet across the stage. Everybody thought he could do it. No, you didn't understand. You didn't understand. So, this way. So, no, you have to keep your feet on. Like you gotta start rolling at least. Go. Okay. Keep your feet on the pedal. Go. Once you have a rigid way of thinking in your head, sometimes you cannot change that, even if you want to. Here's what I did. It was a personal challenge. I stayed out here in this driveway and I practiced about 5 minutes every day. My neighbors made fun of me. I had many wrecks, but after 8 months, this happened. One day I couldn't ride the bike, and the next day I could. It was like I could feel some kind of pathway in my brain that was now unlocked. It was really weird, though. It's like there's this trail in my brain, but if I wasn't paying close enough attention to it, my brain would easily lose that neural path and jump back onto the old road it was more familiar with. Any small distractions at all, like a cell phone ringing in my pocket, would instantly throw my brain back to the old control algorithm and I would wreck, but at least I could ride it. My son is the closest person to me genetically, and he's been riding a normal bike for 3 years. That's over half his life. I wanted to know how long it would take him to learn how to ride a backwards bike, so I told him if he learned how to ride a backwards bike, he could go with me to Australia and meet a real astronaut. Are you going to give up? Go ahead. This is how it starts. Look at this. This is such a big deal. Get up. You got it. Did you see his brain get it? So in how many weeks have we been doing this? 2 weeks? In 2 weeks, he did something that took me 8 months to do, which demonstrates that a child has more neuroplasticity, am I even saying that right, than an adult. It's clear from this experiment that children have a much more plastic brain than adults. That's why the best time to learn a language is when you're a young.
Okay. Oops, I'm sorry for throwing the camera off here. So I'm going to stop the video there for a moment because what's happening here is very important. This engineer is trying to ride this bicycle, if you're just joining us, and the bicycle steering is off. He believes he cannot ride this bicycle, and he's tried it several times, and he can't get it. It took him 8 months to learn how to ride a bicycle that just has backward steering. Now, it can't be that he's not intelligent because he's an engineer, and he's given it to person after person. He brings it to conferences to teach people how difficult it is for them to change their thinking. And at conference after conference, as you can see, he gets the same result. It's taking people 6 months, 8 months to learn how to ride a bicycle with backward steering if they already know how to ride a normal bicycle. Now, the problem is that what he is teaching is dead wrong. It does not take 8 months, 6 months. He said it took his kid 2 weeks. Does not even take 2 weeks to learn how to ride a bicycle with backward steering. The problem is this engineer is not a brain engineer. He's a mechanical engineer. He doesn't understand how to utilize his brain. He doesn't understand how to reprogram his subconscious mind. It does not take 8 months to learn how to change your thinking. You can change your thinking very quickly. You just have to understand how to reprogram the subconscious mind. You can use simple meditation, visualization, self-talk to retrain your subconscious mind. It is not complicated. And to prove that to you, gratefully, a brain guy named Dr. Kobus went ahead and did a video of his own. Now, this one I just showed you, I believe I saw it had 29 million views. So this is widespread thinking. The majority of people are like, yeah, it's so hard to be able to reprogram your brain, or to be able to learn something new, or to be able to change your thinking. But now I want to show you what Dr. Kobus did, because he saw this video and was like, huh, hold my pencil. Sorry, I watch all my videos super fast. I gotta bring this down to regular speed.
Neural pathways are formed and why people get so stuck. And so I'm often asked to come and help a corporate or a business or a team or an individual to move forward. Whenever they feel stuck, they're like, oh, I don't understand why it is so difficult to move forward. And then I am so excited to jump on board and just show them how incredible their minds are and how easy it is to get unstuck in life. Now, I'm not a big theoretical guy, so I want to show you this in practice. And to do this, I am going to take on a huge challenge. For those of you that haven't followed this, Destin Sander has been taking this backwards bicycle to schools and universities and organizations since 2015 to show them how difficult it is to change a thinking pattern. That once you have a certain way of thinking, it takes a lot of practice to change that thinking pattern. This bicycle is actually so simple. One of Destin's colleagues at work took a bicycle and engineered it in such a way so that when you turn the steering wheel to the left-hand side, the front wheel will turn to the right and vice versa. It seems like wherever he takes this bicycle, people just cannot get this right. Destin explains why.
The algorithm that's associated with riding a bike in your brain is just that complicated. Think about it. Downwards force on the pedals, leaning your whole body, pulling and pushing the handlebars, gyroscopic precession in the wheels. Every single force is part of this algorithm. And if you change any one part, it affects the entire control system. I do not make definitive statements that often, but I'm telling you right now, you cannot ride this bicycle. Your brain cannot handle this.
He's not the only one, though. He started a bit of a craze around the world, and even guys like the Mythbusters jumped onto this.
6 riders, 3 tries each, 18 total attempts. How many of those went the full 12 feet? 0. We're going to have to call this myth confirmed. It is impossible to ride a reverse bike without a lot of practice.
Confirmed? I'm not so sure. I just think these guys don't understand how incredible your mind is. That sure, the reason why people will struggle when they get onto the bicycle is because there's a set thinking pattern, but we can just build new thinking patterns. Doesn't matter how old or how young you are, your brain has the ability to build new neural pathways. So this is going to be my challenge. Over the next 3 days, I am not going to get on the bicycle. All I'm going to do is I am just going to rewire my own thinking process so that when I get on the bicycle for the very first time, I'll be able to cycle it. I think, in fact, this will take me less than 30 minutes to just change my thinking patterns. So let's give it a go. So I feel I'm good to go. When I close my eyes, some of the thinking just happens automatically, which tells me if I don't have to do it consciously, that it actually sits on the subconscious already. So I am just keen to go. There's a lot of tension inside of me. We call it dissonance or cognitive dissonance. And the only way to get rid of this tension now is to get on the Cyclops and try and see what happens. Follow me. Let's just quickly get the distances right. The first distance is 10 feet, and this is what Destin kind of asked people to do. And then the second one here is 12 feet, and this was the Mythbusters one, all right? The one that they tested over. Now I'm going to give myself a few more meters just to prove a point. So I always wanted to do this Mythbuster style. This is the Cyclops first attempt in 3, 2, 1.
And that's how you ride a Cyclops. Have to call this myth confirmed. It is impossible to ride a reverse bike without a lot of practice.
So, myth busted, you can ride a backwards bicycle without any practice.
I do not make definitive statements that often, but I'm telling you right now, you cannot ride this bicycle.
And they said, yes, I think I can.
You might think you can, but you can't.
And I can.
Your brain cannot handle this.
This is where I disagree. Your brain can work this out. You are more than clever and capable enough. Think about it. It took me 23 minutes and 33 seconds to rewire my thinking and do what most people claim is impossible to do. Now just think about what you can do. There is no need for you to be stuck in any area of your life. You have the ability to get unstuck continuously.
So hopefully that was as satisfying to you as it was to me, because the myth has been busted. So again, now if you're just joining us, the engineer originally thought and has gone around the world teaching thousands of people that you cannot change your thinking. And he proved it with this backwards bike, and no one could get on the bike and just ride the bike properly. But then a brain guy said, I could ride the bike. And what does he do? Do you remember what he did? It was just this one thing that changed everything and made him able to do something that no one else was able to do. Even the Mythbusters couldn't do it. He just meditated. Nothing real crazy. As you see, he was actually standing up, or maybe he was sitting in a chair. Just did a real quick meditation. And he did it for like a few minutes here, a few minutes there. He did it over 3 days. Turned out to be less than 30 minutes. It was like 20 something minutes of meditation. That was it. Let me repeat. 20 something minutes of meditation. He got on the bike and he rode it the first time on his very first try. What does it prove? We can learn new things. We can change our thinking. We can even ride a bicycle with the steering backwards by rewiring or reprogramming the subconscious mind, and it does not take a long time. He was ready to go with 23 minutes of meditation. I just need that to sink in for a moment. It took the one guy 8 months to learn something while actually trying it. He was physically on the bike. He's like, I just can't get it. I just got to keep doing this for 8 months. Whereas the other guy just said, hold on, let me meditate first. Let me just take a moment. This is not, okay, well, what kind of meditation was he doing? Just a simple visualization that virtually any human is capable of doing. It's where he closed his eyes. He pictured himself on a bike, and he pictured himself getting it correct, riding the bike where he'd have to go this way to go that way and go that way to go that way. The brain is that powerful. just spending a little bit of time, he was able to retrain the brain. He explained scientifically why this works. He said, of course it's hard because you have an old neural pathway. When you get on the bicycle with your old neural pathway, it goes to that. And then it's like, this isn't working because we've already got a pathway built that works this way. He's like, you just build a new neural pathway. That's all that's needed. How? The visualization technique builds the pathway in the brain because the subconscious mind does not know the difference between your visualization and something it's watching on television. It also doesn't know the difference between your mom's voice and your voice, your father's voice and your voice, the teacher's voice, the media voice, the voices on the radio. It's just like, hey, somebody keeps telling us we're worthless. And so we'll create that pathway. Change the pathway by creating a new one that says, I'm everything. I'm not worthless. Contradicting the old pathway, and then ride the new pathway that says, I'm everything. I'm not worthless. I'm amazing. Create the new pathway. Meditate on it for a little while. Close your eyes. Picture yourself not being worthless, but being everything. Start thinking of things that confirm, that reaffirm that truth. And you are creating a new neural pathway. Could you do it in 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, 20 minutes of meditating on the fact that you are actually worthy? Creates a new neural pathway in the brain that can change your entire life. It's just that most people get off of the train too early. They stop the bus too early and they say, Roman, I tried telling myself, I tried affirmations. You don't understand. I already tried everything. Okay. The subconscious mind is an animal brain. We use the same technique to train the subconscious mind that you use to train an animal. So if you're training a dog, do you just tell the dog one time that you don't want the dog to eat out of the garbage? You just say, hey, little doggy, can you not eat out of the garbage? And then he's good? No, that's not how an animal brain works. You have to use repetition with the animal. You have to use rewards. Top trainers say the key to animal training is patience and consistency. Patience and consistency. That's how you reprogram your subconscious mind. Did you get that? Is that in your notes? You can train your subconscious mind with patience and consistency. That is the big secret. You do not need to do it while you're sleeping. You do not need to hire a hypnotherapist. You do not need to play tapes. You do not need all that. And I don't care about all the theta brain waves and all that, because look, if you follow the pattern of how they train animals and train your animal brain the same way, all of that will be taken care of. Patience. What does that mean? It means that you are not anxious, so you are not in a hyper brainwave. You're slowing down the brainwaves by being emotionally calm. A child cannot learn while the child is being reprimanded. You stupid, you are so dumb, you are so worthless. If you had a mom or a dad like that, it didn't help you learn your math homework faster. You just learned, I'm not going to ask her for help anymore. So don't be that type of mother or father to yourself. Treat your inner child as a child. Be calm and patient when it makes mistakes. When you do something wrong, when you didn't implement the rule of 7 seconds or forget to do the job method, don't say to yourself, oh, forget it. Don't lose your patience. Just be patient. Just say, okay, that's okay. I forgot to do what I was supposed to do, but I'll try again next time. Patience is key to training an animal. Why? Because if you get mad at the animal, it's only traumatizing the animal. You get angry and upset and you start yelling or start hitting the animal. Again, it's only teaching it to be afraid of you. It's not training the brain. You have to teach the animal how to think, and you're only going to do that by using patience. So be calm. Remain calm with yourself. Consistency involves repetition, but being consistent means that you are following through the same way each time, right? We want fathers to be consistent with their children by showing up on time consistently, right? You have to be consistent with your inner child, just like you would be consistent with an outer child. Because if you are raising a child and you say, no, 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 don't go over there, don't do that, don't interrupt me, don't, but then you start letting it go, and sometimes you let the child do it, but then other times you get upset when the child does it. That's inconsistent. It doesn't train the brain. The child doesn't learn where the line is. In fact, they may learn that if they pout harder or they cry harder, you eventually give in because you're inconsistent. So what does that train them to do? Become a bigger pouter and a bigger crier. You must be consistent when training the brains of your children or yourself or your animals. Patience and consistency. So how does that look? If you're trying to retrain the brain from saying negative things to yourself, each time you say a negative thing to yourself, you have to tell the brain, whoa, no, hold on, that's negative, and reframe it. I am worthy, I am confident, I am beautiful, and look for real proof. Don't lie to yourself. Be consistent, be patient. When you keep working on it and you are persistent with yourself, you will reprogram the computer because you will create a new neural pathway. Your computer is a precious gift, and it is your responsibility to train it, to reprogram it. Please take action today, tonight, to start visualizing the life that you want to have in the future so that it trains the brain to be that person. If you want to be a more kind, loving person, start visualizing yourself being that. If you want to be more assertive, more outspoken, start visualizing yourself doing that. Put yourself in situations in your mind where you would speak up. You're retraining the subconscious mind a new way to think, a new way to behave. You can give yourself a new personality. And it can happen quite quickly. If you need help with training your subconscious mind, you can set an individual appointment with me or Marissa.